Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Or if you're returning, welcome back to the channel. We're up to 1993 in the memorable series playlist, and yeah, this series was memorable for a couple of good reasons. One reason that was definitely a little odd was, for some reason, after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, the Pittsburgh Penguins decide, okay, we're going to go through a rebrand. And they come up with, move the board here. They go and they come up with this logo that was that ended up becoming called the Robo Penguin. Now, nobody's really sure exactly why they decided to do that. It was just kind of odd. As I got a light that's in a odd position here. Let's see if I can change that a little bit. That might help a little. That might help a little bit. but yeah, they changed this. They changed the logo. They changed the logo, new jerseys, new everything. Don't know exactly why, but it was a logo that, I mean, I don't mind it. I think it looks kind of cool. But it was weird. I mean, I guess, they wanted to capitalize on being back-to-back champions by doing a rebrand. I don't know. But they came up with that logo, and yeah, the Robo Penguin was born. So this series is memorable for a couple of reasons. The Penguins were trying to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. They, without a doubt, had the best record in hockey. They finished with a record of 56, 21, and 7. Now, the league went from 80 games to 84 games because they wanted to have 2 neutral site games for each team. So we went from 80 games to 84 games. The Penguins, of course, finished with a record of 56, 21, and 7. 119 points. This team, I think the way it was constructed and regular season-wise, was a way better team than even the teams that won the Stanley Cup, that won the Cup 2 times in a row. And they were looking good. They were looking good. This is of course, this is 1993. This is the last year of the divisional playoffs as we had known them. The Norris, the Smythe, Adams, and Patrick divisions, those all go away. Those all go away and become geographical divisions the next year. Also, the Campbell and Wales Conference, those go away too. Those are renamed. Which, call me crazy, I love those old school names, and I think those should come back. But the Penguins are looking to, solidify a dynasty here by trying to win 3 straight. And here they are. They're in the Patrick Division final against an old rival. They're playing the New York Islanders, a team that finished in 3rd place in the Patrick Division. Now, the Islanders, they finished with a record of 40, 37, and 7 for 87 points. So you had 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. There I am trying to do math again. A 32-point difference between these two teams. But this, of course, this is the second round, the Patrick Division final. And, the Islanders always played the Penguins tough. So we get into this this series here. And we get into game 1. And game 1, the Islanders, they steal home ice. They end up stealing home ice. In the first period, we start out with the Penguins get on the board first. It is, I believe it was Mike Needham from Troy Loney at 8:19 to make it 1-0. But the Islanders come right back. At 12:20, it's Vladimir Malakoff from Derek King and Dennis Vasky. So that ties the game at 1 apiece. Then the Islanders, they take the lead, shorthanded. At 17:09, it's Ray Ferraro from Tom Fitzgerald. So it's 2-1 Islanders at the end of the first. So we go into the second period. And at 5:02, shorthanded, it's Benoit Hogue from Darius Kasparaitis and Tom Fitzgerald. So 3-1 in favor of the Islanders. But then at 15:10, the Penguins get back into it. It is Jeff Daniels from Larry Murphy to make it 3-2. But that is as close as the Penguins get. There is no scoring in the third period. The Islanders hold on for a Game 1 win of 3-2. And the goaltenders, Glenn Healy for the New York Islanders, he stopped 28 of 30 shots for a .933 save percentage, while Tom Barrasso, he stopped 28 of 31 for a .903 save percentage. So, the shots, the shots were that close. It was only a difference of one shot. The Islanders getting 31 shots and the Penguins getting 30. So the Islanders steal home ice. So we get into game 2. Well, the Penguins, they kind of make a statement in this game. In the first period of game 2, at 4:37, it is Joey Mullen from Mike Ramsey and Ron Francis. That makes it 1-0 in favor of the Penguins. There is no scoring whatsoever in the second period. We get into the third period, and at 38 seconds into the third, it's Rick Tocchet from Jaromir Jagr and Dave Tippett. 2-0 Pittsburgh. And then at 6:40, Ron Francis puts the game away from Kevin Stevens. 3-0 Pittsburgh. That's the final. The Penguins tie the series at 1 apiece. Glenn Healy stopped 22 of 25 for an .880 save percentage. Tom Barrasso stopped all 26 shots that he faced. And, good shutout. So the series is tied at 1 apiece. We get to game 3. And Pittsburgh, they go into Long Island, and they kind of get their home ice back. At 13:08 of the first, it is Ron Francis from Jeff Daniels and Peter Taglianetti. That makes it 1-0 in favor of the Penguins. Then at 15:45, so a little over 2.5 minutes later, 15:45, it is Jagr from Sean McEachern and Ron Francis, 2-0 in favor of the Penguins. That is the score after the first period. Second period, 2:18 into the second period. On the power play, it is Ray Ferraro from Vladimir Malakoff and Derek King, 2-1. So the Islanders, they cut the lead in half. Unfortunately, that is as close as they get, because in the third period, it is scoring into the empty net. It is Joe Mullen from Lemieux and Samuelson, 3-1 Pittsburgh. They take a 2-1 series lead here. Tom Barrasso stopped 36 of 37 for a .973 save percentage. Glenn Healy stopped 26 of 28 for a .929 save percentage. So the Penguins, they're up 2-1. They're feeling pretty good about themselves, I'd say. Game 4, we get some. We get some scoring in this game. There's no scoring though in the first period. This game was all about the third period. When it came to the scoring, this was all about the third period. But the scoring started in the second period. At 13:12, unassisted, it's Jaromir Jagr. The Penguins take the 1-0 lead. Then, at 15:44, on the power play, it is Ray Ferraro again from King and Malakoff, 1-1. Then, At 1943, shorthanded, so last minute, those last minute goals in the last minute of a period, they can be killers. It is Fitzgerald at 1943, shorthanded, makes it 2-1, and that was unassisted. Incredible. I mean, here's the Islanders, it's 2-1. All right, so we go into the third period, it's 2-1. Now the scoring begins. In the third period, 25 seconds in, it is Fitzgerald getting his second of the game from Kasperitis, 3-1 Islanders. But at 2:32, to make it 3-2, to cut it down to a 1-goal lead, it is Loney, unassisted. So it's 3-2 in favor of the Islanders. Then the Penguins tie the game. It is Rick Tocchet from Ramsey and Loney at 2:53. So literally 21 seconds after making it 3-2, the Penguins tie the game 21 seconds later. But the New York Islanders, they battle back here. At 3:31, it is King from Vasky and Patrick Flatley. 4-3 New York. But again, the Penguins, they come battling back. On the power play at 6:24, it is Kevin Stevens from Mario Lemieux and Larry Murphy. 4-4. Then at 9:11, it is Malakoff giving the Islanders the lead again from Brian Mullen. Don't know if the two Mullins are related. I don't think they were. But, you had Joey Mullen for Pittsburgh, Brian Mullen of the New York Islanders. So, yeah, it gives the Islanders a 5-4 lead. Pittsburgh again, though. At 10:50, tie the game. Ron Francis from Paul Stanton and Kevin Stevens. 5-5. Then, the game-winning goal at 12:11 is scored by King from Ray Ferraro and Jeff Norton. 6-5 New York. They hang on. The New York Islanders tie the series at 2 apiece with a huge 6-5 victory. Tom Barrasso stopped 34 of 40 shots for an .850 save percentage. Not the greatest, but better than his counterpart. Glenn Healy stopped 23 of 28 for an .821 save percentage. So neither save percentage was that fantastic, but the Islanders got the win. Much needed. Much needed. So we get to game 5. Now this one had a lot to do with some very early scoring here. Game 5, 19 seconds in. So 19 seconds into the game, Pittsburgh gets the lead. It is Lemieux from Stevens and Tocchet. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Then, at 54 seconds into the first period, it is 2-0 Pittsburgh. It's Rick Tocchet from Stevens and Lemieux. So, within the first minute of the game, the Penguins are already up 2-0. Then, just under a minute later, on the power play, the Penguins make it 3-0. It is Murphy from Tocchet and Francis. 3-0 Pittsburgh after the first period. So the Penguins, within the first 2 minutes of the game, they score 3 times. Just insane. So we get into the second period. The Islanders, they cut the lead a little bit. 31 seconds into the game. On the power play, it's Norton from King. 3-1 in favor of the Penguins. But 14 seconds later, on the power play, to make it 4-1 Pittsburgh, it is Lemieux from Francis and Murphy. 4-1 Penguins. Then, at 17:23, the Islanders cut the lead in half. It is Brian Mullen from Steve Thomas. 4-2 after 2 periods. Can the Islanders find a way to get back into this game? Not really. Because shorthanded at a minute 39 into the third period, it is Mullen, unassisted, 5-2 Penguins. Then, at 5:30 of the third, the Penguins increase their lead. It is Jágr from Stevens and Murphy, 6-2 Pittsburgh. Then, to cut the lead in half, but nowhere near enough, it is Travis Green from Thomas and Kasparaitis at 13:45. It is 6-3. That's the final. Pittsburgh goes up 3-2 on the New York Islanders, so they are 1 win away from the Wales Conference Final. Glenn Healy, he got yanked in this one. He only stopped 11 of 16 shots for a .688 save percentage. Mark Fitzpatrick comes in relief. He stops 1 of the 2 shots he faced for a .500 save percentage. Tom Barrasso stopped 34 of 37 for a .919 save percentage. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, they take a 3-2 lead with an emphatic victory. Then game 6. We thought we saw some scoring here in these last couple games. Oh, no. Now you get to game 6. You want some scoring? We got some scoring. The Penguins, a chance to win and advance to the Wales Conference Final. The Islanders, they had a little something to say about that. At 25 seconds of the first period, gives the Islanders 1-0 lead. It is Brad Delgarno from Kasparaitis and Claude Loisel. So it's 1-0 Islanders. But then at 6:47, it is Martin Straka, one of the best names I think I had ever heard. Because I'd go and hear it on TV, and there I'm going Straka, for Martin Straka. That's kind of how I always said his name. From Loney and Samuelson. So that's a 1-1 game. So it's a 1-1 tie. But then the Islanders, they take the lead again. At 7:19, it is King from Vasky and Steve Junker. How's that for a name? Junker. So that gives the Islanders a 2-1 lead, and that is the score after the first period. The Islanders are up 2-1. Then in the second period, at a minute 16, the Penguins tie it. It is Lemieux from Samuelson and Barrasso. 2-2. At 7:22, though, the Islanders, they get the lead again. On the power play, it's Ray Ferraro from Mullen and Thomas. 3-2 Islanders. Then, on the power play again, at 11:20, it is Thomas from Tom Curvers and Benoit Hogue. 4-2 Islanders. Then, a minute and 2 seconds later, it is Straka from Jágr and Stevens. 4-3 now. So the Penguins have battled back. They've gotten within 1. Then, at 14:31 on the power play, the Penguins tie it. Kevin Stevens from Tocchet and Lemieux. 4-4. And that is how the second period ends. It is 4-4 at the end of 2. Then we get into the third period. At 5:42, the Islanders retake the lead again. It is Mullen from Thomas and Hogue. 5-4 Islanders. Then at 10:32, the Islanders pad their lead again. At 10:32, Thomas from Ferraro and King. 6-4 New York Islanders. But again, the Penguins, they go and they narrow the gap here. At 17:28, it is Stevens from Murphy and Lemieux. 6-5 in favor of the New York Islanders. That is as close, though, as they would get, because then at 19:42, into the empty net, it is Uwe Krupp to make it 7-5. Of course, Uwe Krupp, famously scored the game-winning goal to win the Stanley Cup for the Colorado Avalanche in 1996 against the Florida Panthers. And yeah, that was without a doubt the biggest goal he ever scored in his career. So it is a 7-5 win for the New York Islanders. Tom Barrasso stopped 22 of 28 for a .786 save percentage. Glenn Healy stopped 31 of 36 for an .861 save percentage. Then we get into Game 7. And Kevin Stevens decides, I'm going to do a little trash talking here. He basically came out and said, hey, good teams win Game 7s. And we're a great team. He either said good teams or great teams. I think it was great teams. Great teams win Game 7s, and we're a great team. So you put a little bulletin board material out there for the New York Islanders. And the New York Islanders, they kind of had a little something to say about this. Now, there's no score in the first period, but in the second period, Pittsburgh strikes first. At 7:59, it is Ulf Samuelsson, from Lemieux and Shell Samuelsson. So both Samuelsons got on the board here. So it's 1-0 in favor of the Penguins. Then at 18:28, the Islanders tie it. It is Thomas from Hogue, 1-1 after the second period. So we got a battle here. Going to be a great third period, I think. And this is another series I remember watching very intently. Third period at 6:10, the Islanders take the lead. It is David Volek from Ferraro and Fitzgerald, 2-1 Islanders. Then at 9:09, the Islanders extend that lead. It is Benoit Hogue from Malakoff, and Glenn Healy, the goaltender, gets an assist here. It is 3-1. But Pittsburgh, in classic Penguin fashion, they don't go away. They're the two-time defending champions. They want to defend their crown. At 16:13, it is Francis from Murphy, 3-2 in favor of the Islanders. Then, with 1 minute to go in the third period, it is Rick Tocchet from Francis and Murphy, 3-3 tie. So we're going to overtime here in a Game 7. And at 5:16, the upset happens. It is David Volek from Ray Ferraro and Dennis Vasky. The Islanders go into Pittsburgh, and they end the Penguins' dream of winning 3 straight and becoming a dynasty. And I guess in a way you could say the curse of the Robo-Penguin begins, because the Penguins never did win another Stanley Cup with the Robo-Penguin as their logo. Even when they brought it back as part of the reverse retro line, they were a team they hadn't missed the playoffs in forever. The year they bring back the Robo-Penguin as the reverse retro, which, by the way, love that jersey, they missed the playoffs. So that logo, I don't think you'll ever see anywhere on a Penguin uniform ever again. I don't even know if you'll ever see that logo on a hat again. But the Islanders, they snuff out the Penguins 4-3 in overtime to win the series, to advance to the Wales Conference Final as a third-place team. One thing about the Wales Conference Final that year, all 4 teams that made the conference finals were third-place teams. Glenn Healy was fantastic in this game. Absolutely fantastic. He stopped 42 of 45 shots for a .933 save percentage. Tom Barrasso for the Penguins stopped 16 of 20 shots for an .800 save percentage. So the Penguins more than doubled up the Islanders in shots, but the Islanders win the game. They win the series, and they advance to the Wales Conference Final. This series, this Penguin team, to me, especially on paper, and when you look at regular seasons, way better than the teams that had just won back-to-back Stanley Cups. That Penguin team was amazing. But they ran into a New York Islander team that was motivated. And they were motivated, all right, even though they kind of got destroyed in the conference final by the Montreal Canadiens. This series was an amazing series, and yeah, one of the best series that I had seen in 1993. So the Islanders knock out the Penguins 4-3, and yeah, the Penguins would not even sniff a Stanley Cup again until 2008, when they would make the Stanley Cup final again, finally, after going back to the skating Penguin. So let me know what you guys think of the 1993 Patrick Division final, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. And you guys remember watching it? If you watched it like I did, let me know in the comment section. How'd you feel about it? Were you happy for the Islanders, or were you not so happy? Were you a big Penguins fan and really wanted to see the Penguins complete that dynasty? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Again, it would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let all your friends know about the channel. Friends, family, whoever. If you want to share this video or any of the other videos from the channel, any other videos from this playlist, go right ahead. You can share that with friends, with family, whoever you would like. And yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think. I know these history videos these memorable series videos don't exactly get a whole lot of views, unfortunately, but they're fun to look back on. I enjoy looking back on them. And yeah, the next one in 1994, there's a number of series in that one that I could look at. There's more than one that I could look at, but I had to pick one. So I found the one that I'm going to pick, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that one. So again, let me know what you guys think of the 1993 Patrick Division final. The Islanders defeat the Penguins 4-3 to end their chance at a dynasty. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe. Hit that share button. Liven up the comment section. I'll see you guys later.